welcome back to Pitchside at Laureus. I'm delighted to say that I'm joined by Bryan O'Driscoll. Bryan, great to see you here. We were just saying before we went live, the last time I saw you was at the Just Challenge event down in South Africa. You'd hiked for 4 days with your now Academy member, colleague, Bryan Dan Nicol, who an ambassador but always very entertaining. How did the recovery process go after that epic walk?
I'm just sketchy about what time of the night we might have last seen one another. I was waving buses off in the early hours of the morning, having not had a whole lot of sleep. But it was, what a brilliant experience it was, going to Drakensberg with, I think it was 100 fantastic people. Getting outside your comfort zone, varying degrees of fitness, but an ability just to switch off and challenge one another. Had some really phenomenally interesting conversations. Climbing up steep hills and walking down embankments. But it was a really great experience. Exactly what I needed to kind of recalibrate. Sometimes life is very fast, and I think to be able to go away and do something like that, it's almost a bit of a reset button.
And I think you had your sisters with you.
I did. I had my two sisters. I have one of my sisters who works with me is here this evening, and my other sister came as well. So it was, when you get into your 40s, there's very few things that you have an opportunity to go and spend time together. We've all got families, so to go and do something for Just Challenge, representing Laureus, completely made sense to be able to hang out together and kind of catch up where we mightn't have had the opportunity to do so for 20 years.
Yeah, and just a shout out there to Annabelle Bondu. Obviously that's one of her passions and her big program. So
Annabelle, what an unreal energy that she brings to everything that she does. There's too many people to name, but she lights up any environment that she's in, and she's unbelievable company, but then so driven, from a physical point of view as well. How hard she trains day in, day out, what she's achieved, herself. So, I'm looking forward to catching up with her later on tonight.
Super. I want to ask you about a man that was there. We mentioned him just now, Bryan O'Driscoll. He's now a member of the Academy. Somebody who very well off the field, but obviously would have come up against numerous times during your respective careers. But just a word on him and what he brings to Laureus and how that gels with your own kind of ethos on life.
Well. I guess I've probably gotten to know Bryan an awful lot better in the last 3-4 years as he was coming into retirement. We ended up being at more events together, and sometimes as players you don't get a full understanding of what someone's like until you spend 24 or 48 hours in one another's company. You get to really understand the person. I think what's most admirable about him, whatever about all the achievements, all the success that he's had, pretty much winning everything in rugby, I think it's the humility, but also his appetite to give back. He's a real realization that he managed to live a dream, and he got a chance to do that, and he wants to promote the game in the best possible way and promote sport and showcasing what it can do for him and for everybody else, particularly in South Africa, where there's some pretty impoverished areas. I think to go and show what sport can do for anyone if you get your if you get focused and you're driven, or even if you just want to play it with friends and buddies. I think he's just been phenomenal in projecting sport in the best possible manner.
Ahead of the awards tonight, I mean, staying on a Springbok theme, I suppose, but the Boks are a nominee for Team of the Year. Just that moment around Siya Kolisi, and you talk about sport, and we talk about the power that sport has. From a South African perspective, having spent time there, I can imagine that moment would have resonated with you in terms of what it did for South Africa and South Africans as well.
Yeah, I think in sport it's all about legacy, isn't it? And inspiring and being a role model, and what a role model Siya Kolisi is. His story, I've seen that TED Talks where he explains in 8 or 9 minutes where he's come from and what challenges he's had, and I think that in itself his huge inspiration to become a professional rugby player. He's gone on to lift the World Cup, one of 9 or 10 players, I think, to lift it in a very, very unique club. And so, his ability to encourage change and to encourage unity in a country that maybe needs it right now, I think it's the inspiration that many people are looking to, and that is the power of sport, that ability to bring people together like very few other things can. We split opinion on everything else, and we even split opinion on music, but music can pull people together as well, and sport has that ability to pull people together.
It's a long way away, but the British and Irish Lions to South Africa, I can tell you, coming from Cape Town, there's already a fervour around this. We had Butch James and Jean de Villiers here earlier, who were saying, it's so far away you can't read anything into a kind of a form book, obviously, but more in terms of who might start as favourites. How do you have an opinion on how they might go yet, or is it still too early? And B, how excited are you for that?
I think, first of all, really excited. For me, it was my favourite tour that I went on in 2009, even though we lost the series 2-1. Best memories. I think we had a really tight-knit group, but we got the balance of being good professionals, but also really enjoying the country and having a good laugh as well. And that's what it's still really is really important in an age where everyone is potentially a journalist or someone to report things. You still have to have an ability to enjoy one another's company and hang out together. And I think there's a few things that help with that. I think the game time being in the middle of the afternoon, not much different to the UK, allows for the team to be able to go back to a hotel and hang out with those non-playing team members and have a beer, have a cup of tea or a coffee, and that all those aspects are really important for everything tying together. It's the third time now that Springboks have been world champions and will host the British and Irish Lions 2 years later. So they're getting in the habit of doing it. Series in that regard is 1-1.
Yeah.
So I think there's so much excitement and expectation in the Lions now after the series draw in New Zealand and now taking on the best team in the world. What's not to like about that?
And a final one, just on the Ireland national team. Very broad question, but perhaps you just have a kind of a concise view in terms of where the team is at the moment. We obviously are in the middle of the Six Nations, and that is as well. They've gone through a coaching change since the World Cup. What are your thoughts around the national team at the moment?
Yeah, I think they're a coming team again. I think there's an evolution, even though there's a lot of the same personnel. I think there's an evolution of style, a realisation that we got stale and got left behind the curve for Rugby World Cup. Just shows the need to constantly change, particularly when you get closer to the top of the tree, because everyone starts looking at you a little bit more, analysing you a little bit more. So maybe we missed out on that, but I think there's still a real appetite within those players to go and continue with some of the success that Ireland have had in recent years. And I think with Andy Farrell coming in, he'll be using a lot of the foundations of what's been set by Joe Smyth, but then adding his own flavour to things. And it's been a decent start. 2 victories, one very good performance. So a lot to be excited about, but we won't lose the run of ourselves just yet.
Not popping the champagne just
Not
yet.
just yet.
Brian, thank you so much for your time. Enjoy tonight. Have a blast. Enjoy the ceremony. Enjoy the after party, and safe travels home. Thank you so much for joining us on Pitchside.
Thanks
Really
a lot.
appreciate
Thanks
it.
for having me.
Thank you
Cheers.
very much, Brian. Cheers.